Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is The Gray Adventure. And this week, instead of giving you guys just another travel video, we are going to be giving you kind of the basics of boondocking and everything you need to know. We're boondocking for the next couple nights, and we're going to give you a quick look at our setup and show you some of the things that we do, but also some of the things that you should pay attention to before you go boondocking.
Right, so this week for 5 nights, we are set up at Point Mugu State Park, and they have 3 campgrounds in this state park. It's in California, by the way, near Malibu. The campground that we're specifically at is the Thornhill Broom Beach. So we are right on the water. House is right over there. Water's right over there.
Water here. House right here.
Absolutely awesome. So we will be here, like I said, 5 nights, and we'll give you a glimpse at how we're set up and give you some tips and tricks for boondocking. But first, we're gonna sit out here,
enjoy the sunset, have a drink.
Yes.
So let's go enjoy the sunset. Rule number 1 for boondocking is always find an amazing spot to go to. We're sitting here on the beach, just enjoying the sunset right now, having a little bit of Prosecco.
Prosecco and chips, which is our alternative to an Italian happy hour. Usually you would enjoy this on a nice piazza in Italy, which we used to do, but I'll take this.
Yeah, definitely.
Sunset
on the beach is just as good as being at a piazza in Italy at sunset. But that's going to be rule number 1, finding a great spot and having a drink and a good happy hour while doing it is always a bonus to that as well. So in addition to finding a great spot for boondocking, there's really 3 things that you need to consider in order to make the best boondocking experience possible. The first is having plenty of fresh water. Second is a place to store your water once you've used it. And the third is having enough power for your entire stay. To give you an idea of what we're working with here, we have a freshwater tank that can hold up to 40 gallons of water. Make sure you clean that out a couple times before you go boondocking if you haven't used it in a while, because sometimes you can be left with a taste that's not really that great. And then we have our black water tank and our gray water holding tanks, and both of those are 20 gallons. Now with this setup here, we've been able to go 5 to 6 days without even breaking a sweat, but we have managed to eke out 8, maybe even 9 days if we go extremely lean and spread our resources as thin as possible. If you do want to boondock for longer, the size of your tank really doesn't make that much of a difference if you want to invest in something like this. This here is a Blue Boy, or a portable waste tank, and they make them in a variety of different sizes. All you do once your tanks in your RV are filling up, you connect them to this here, you drag this with your truck to a waste tank or a dump station, and you empty it out, giving you additional time without having to move your RV while you're boondocking. And as far as freshwater goes, there's a couple different options you can go with there as well. You can get a large water bladder that you can put in the back of your vehicle, fill that up. They make them up to 20, 30, 40 gallons, so you can fill up your entire freshwater tank. Or you can simply get 5-gallon jugs and fill up your tank manually a little bit at a time once you run out of water that way as well. To keep the lights on while boondocking, the easiest option is to go with a generator, and that's typically what most people use. Simply find the generator that works for you, plug it directly into the RV's 30 or 50 amp plug, and you can power up pretty much anything that's on the inside of the RV. But we actually decided to go with a different option. As you can see behind me, we have solar panels, a total of 600 watts on the top of our RV, and that's connected to 2 100 amp deep cycle batteries, which are then connected to a 1000 watt inverter on the inside of the RV, which keeps everything up and running for us. For the longest time, we actually only have one deep cycle 100 amp battery connected to the RV, and we actually used that for 6 to 7 months before upgrading and getting a second battery to go along with it. The reasoning for that was it is getting colder with every passing day, and that means we are running our furnace a lot more in the evenings, especially when boondocking. Another alternative to just a standard generator and having solar panels with a inverter is something like this. This is called the Kodiak Energy, and it's classified as a solar generator. There's a roughly 100 milliamp hour battery on the inside here. As you can see, there's lots of ports up front to charge pretty much all of your devices, and you can turn it on here. You can plug in USB ports as well to plug in your smartphones, tablets, anything like that. And initially we were expecting to use this completely on its own without having that second additional battery. Unfortunately, the setup that we went with didn't quite work out as well as we thought. We had some issues with this model here, having to send it in for warranty repair a couple times. So we don't rely on it as much as we thought we would, but it's still extremely handy whenever you don't have enough power with the main batteries and simply have something to take with you. And at only 20 pounds, it's pretty light and could technically keep you going probably 2 or 3 days on a single charge.
When it comes to how long you can boondock, it all comes down to how well you can conserve. How well can you conserve your water, and how well can you conserve your power? Some ways that we conserve our water are we use paper plates and bowls when we're boondocking so that we don't have as many dishes to wash. We also have these beautiful colored cups. So each person has their own color and they use it all day, and we'll maybe wash it at night or just rinse it out so that we're not washing cups a million times throughout the day. And then when we do need to wash dishes for the pots and pans and things that we're using to cook with, we have this little bucket that, not even a bucket really, it's just an extra container that we had. And so we're using a very small amount of water to wash, and then if we're at a campsite that we're allowed to dump it outside, we'll throw it out so that we're not putting it down the drain and into our gray tank. We also conserve water in the bathroom. So we don't use as much water in the toilet when we're boondocking, and if there are bathrooms on site, we try to use those as much as possible. So right now where we are, there are porta potties, so nothing fancy, but it helps to conserve how much we're using our tank. And then when we're out and about throughout the day, we're using the bathroom there, so that helps save in the black tank as well.
When it comes to conserving power, it really comes down to using as little as possible, or within your thresholds, depending on what your solar setup or what your generator is going to give you. For us, we always have to remind the girls to keep the lights off. They keep turning them on all the time and running outside and playing. So that's one thing that we need to keep an eye on.
In the summer months, it's really not much of a problem because you have daylight until 8-9 o'clock.
Yep.
And so we don't really need to turn on the lights that much. But in the winter, fall, winter, it's dark by 5 o'clock. So we've been using candles. We've been using candles a little bit. We have some battery powered lights and other things that we'll use in the evening that help conserve as well.
And one thing to keep in mind too, summer versus winter also depends on how much you're using your furnace. It is kind of chilly for us here. We are camping right on the beach, but last night I think it got down to 48 degrees, so our furnace kicked on a handful of times throughout the night. So making sure your battery power throughout the evening, it has enough just to keep the furnace running. And then during the summers as well, if you're camping in a location that's really hot, a lot of people aren't even able to run their air conditioner based off of their generator. So keep that in mind. You always want to make sure that you're camping within your limits there as far as temperatures, because it's really hard to boondock when it's too hot. We've
done it in 90-degree heat, and it was rough. But
it's a little bit
only
miserable.
For a night or two, not a big deal. But for us at this location, 5 nights, we're making sure we have enough battery to run the furnace a little through the night.
This morning, I went out to play, and Daddy just ran out, and all of a sudden he said, "There's dolphins out there." So I looked out there, and there were dolphins, and there were like 5 of them, and it was awesome. They were like blackish, gray. And they were just playing around. So this might be a place to see dolphins. Go 2 feet together.
So that's a quick look at our boondocking setup, and just to give you the basics of what you need to know for boondocking if you haven't done it before. We've been here for 5 nights now, and we are about to pack up and hit the road again, hit a regular campground for a couple nights. But it's been fun. We always enjoy boondocking, even though we actually don't do it that often.
No, not a ton, but we're getting better at it. And we've got things down and systems down and in place, so hopefully we'll start doing it more often.
Yeah, and one thing we kind of misjudged here when we were boondocking this time, we actually ran out of water last night. We didn't fill up our tank completely since we thought we could make it through without having to spend the time to fill up the tank.
Yeah, but it wasn't much of an issue. The water spigot's right across from the RV, so we just filled up some jugs and we made it through just fine.
Yeah, so that's gonna do it for this video. If you have any questions about boondocking, we're by no means experts on the topic. There are a lot of other people out there that do it a lot more, but we have been doing it quite a bit and more often than we typically did when we first started. So if you have questions, please leave them in the comments and we'll answer them as best we can.
That's gonna do it for the beach here in California. Now we're headed a little back inland and get full hookups and showers.
Yeah, definitely showers. That's one thing you actually miss quite a bit when you're boondocking to conserve water. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and we hope to see you on the road.